Ocarina of Time is widely regarded as the game that invented a formula for Zelda games to follow, where you must linearly follow a set of dungeons in order to progress the game. Now, opinion on whether or not this is the case is, of course, split right down the middle. But what if we were to take that intended line of progression through the dungeons and flipped it right around? What if we were to start the game with the Shadow Temple and end it with the Great Deku Tree? Would that be possible? For this challenge, the rules I set were pretty simple. Take the progression indicated on the gear screen and reverse it. I may not enter any dungeons out of order, not even for items, so if I haven't finished the Water Temple yet, then the Fire Temple is off limits. Mini dungeons I am not considering dungeons for the sake of the challenge, since they do not have a major reward. I'm considering them part of the overworld. I did consider counting these as dungeons because at least 2 of them are still intended in progression, but by considering major items relegated to non-overworld instances, I have to consider Dampe's Grave a dungeon, so I hope you understand the reasoning behind this. It got weird really quickly and I would like to keep the rules simple. For glitches, I may use movement glitches and the power crouch tab oversight, but anything involving spawning items out of thin air or otherwise affecting progression is banned. This does include wrong warping. And with that, let's begin the run. The run begins as it always does, saying hello to Saria and grabbing the sword and shield. I also grind some money to buy some Deku Nuts just to have them on hand, and get real close to the Great Deku Tree to grab some sticks. But right as I go towards him, and right as Navi explains that that is where I have to go, I go the other way. It's time for the adventure of a lifetime. My first order of business is to get out of the forest, but the nameless Kokiri guy is blocking the way. Now, if I didn't need the Ocarina, I'd probably go for a Navi dive, but I figure it's probably worth going through the hassle of getting the Ocarina in the game called Ocarina of Time. So I used the walk and talk glitch and feel around in the dark for a few minutes until I managed to pass by the unloaded Kokiri guard child. Saria laments that she always knew I'd leave someday, but I don't think she thought this was the way I'd do it. Regardless, she still gives me the Ocarina. Thanks, Saria. Hyrule Field. Now that we're out of the forest, it's time for a bit of a preliminary collection run. Since I'm not allowed to set foot in dungeons, I'll be missing a lot of items. I won't be able to grab the Young Link dungeon items, which unfortunately includes the bomb bag, a pivotal item for several temples, the Song of Time, and due to a lack of bombs, magic as a whole. I bring in the start of the collection run by playing the shooting gallery game as Young Link, which, because I don't have the slingshot, glitches out and gives me the 50 seed satchel. I don't get to have a slingshot, so this is kinda useless to me anyway. I really just wanted to show that this happens. Next up, I go towards the castle and grab my first gold Skulltula and the weird egg from Malon so I can make my way towards Zelda and get one of the single most important items of the run that'll make the first few dungeons, you know, possible? Zelda's Lullaby. And Zelda's Letter. Honestly, I thought this one wasn't going to be that important, but it turned out to be more important than I initially expected. But I am getting ahead of the story a little bit, because I also got caught once, like this. I don't think I've ever seen the guards move like this. With Talon sent home and Zelda's Letter in hand, my next step is to go learn...
Hey, listen!
Navi, I get it, I really do. But trust the process, okay? So I grab a second gold Skulltula token and learn Epona song. Another song I don't usually need, but will be very useful down the line in this challenge. And on my way out, I play Talon's Super Kuko game for a bottle of milk. The next stop for my pre-Dungeons collection run is Kakariko Village, and since I arrive at night, I decide to use the Infinite Sword glitch to grab the Skulltula from the Watchtower, making number 3, the Skulltula token from the Top House, making number 4, the Skulltula token on the Skulltula House, number 5, and the Skulltula token on the building site, number 6, but not the one from the tree, apparently. I must have forgotten about that one when I was playing. Since Dampe is around and not the annoying kid, grave robbing is no issue, and I grab my free Hylian shield, which as a kid I always thought was just 5 rupees, since it gets swapped for a blue rupee if you already have a Hylian shield. A mildly annoying mechanic, as it caused me to misremember things a lot as a kid. Navi reminds me that I need to go see the Great Deku Tree again, but I use it to my advantage, seeing as Navi telling me about this makes Link forget that water exists, causing him to sink to the bottom and letting me get into the bottom of the well. As mentioned before, any dungeon not connected to a stone or a medallion will consider part of the overworld for the sake of simplicity. The Lens of Truth is completely optional, but I decide to kill Dead Hand anyway, for the sake of convenience later on. He doesn't look like he minds. Since I want to change the time to daytime, while I technically could just wait outside for time to pass, I decide I can go learn the Sun Song to get the same result and perhaps some convenience for later. Though I forgot I don't have a slingshot, so killing keys is certainly some form of a challenge. Get down here, you little shit. I also decide to remind myself why I usually ignore redeads. They suck. Moving on, I learned the Sun Song and watched the night turns to day. This was a very important side plot. I never used the Sun Song for the rest of the run. Oops. Collect 7 cuckoos for another bottle, then put some bugs in a bottle so I can use them to dig out skulltulas from soft soils. I dig out number 7 from the graveyard, and then I make my way to the next destination, Goron City. Doesn't Darunia just look so happy to see me? Steal his fire, bring it to the forest. No, not quite like that. We're opening the shortcut using a mechanic that a lot of people don't know exists, even though it's even used for a puzzle in Master Quest. But I know for a fact that when I played Master Quest, I instead managed to bypass it in a different way by triggering the bombs to synchronize manually myself. I only found out this mechanic existed about 4 years ago. I've been playing this for 25 years. Anyway, in the forest I grabbed 2 skulltulas from the soils, one from the bridge, marking number 8, and one from the Deku Theater area, marking number 9. Then go all the way to the Sacred Forest Meadow to find Saria sitting on a stump, playing her song. She teaches it to me, and unlike the Sun Song, I do actually get some use out of this one. By playing it for Darunia, I get access to the Goron Bracelet, the strength upgrade for Young Link. Weirdly enough, it actually is important that I get this now and not like for tackling the Young Link dungeons. But again, I'll explain that when it becomes relevant, so just put a pin in it for now. Before I leave Goron City, I reveal Medigoron's forge using the bomb flowers, then open the Dongo's Cavern. Not to enter, I'm legally not allowed to yet, but instead to reveal the soft soil that houses the last skulltula I need, number 10, which allows me to get the adult's wallet. I fill that up to 200 using the quick method of jumping off the drawbridge chains repeatedly, and with all of Young Link's preparation behind me, I finally make my way to the Temple of Time. Perform a Door of Time skip, which I thoroughly mess up once, but surprisingly managed to get on my second attempt. Pull out the Master Sword and we're one step closer towards our first goal, the Shadow Temple. But not yet. Sheik is here to give you the Dungeon Order, which puts the Shadow Temple before the Spirit Temple, but we're going by the medallion screen for this run. It's not any easier or more difficult this way. Hell, I don't think I need the hover boots for the Spirit Temple or anything, it's just easier to explain, really. Of course, I didn't exactly open the door behind me, Sheik must have come in through an open window or whatever, so I'll have to save and quit to teleport to the other side of the door. Alright, the adventure truly begins now. I really like how Adult Link defaults to putting bombs in your C buttons, because I don't actually have them yet. First order of business for Adult Link? That's right, the classic, we're going to pick up Epona. What did you think I was gonna say? Did you think I was gonna get a hookshot? I probably could have done that too. I probably should have done that first, actually. 25 years in and I still don't know what actually triggers Ingo to want to race you. Seriously, it shouldn't be this complex, right? Well, a few rounds in and the races can begin. First he goes easy on you, then he goes mildly less easy on you. It's still an easy race as long as you just pass him on the first corner he goes wide on, but it is pretty difficult if you don't pass him here though. Time to jump out of the ranch, Epona ass! Why does the camera do this? In my infinite wisdom, I completely forgot about getting the hookshot in my excitement to actually use Epona in a challenge run. But I don't think I've ever done Gerudo Fortress without any kind of ranged weapon before. So I decided to take it as a personal challenge, because why not? I wasn't entirely sure if it was possible, to be honest, specifically with this guard in the dead end area. But as long as you swiftly run past her when she walks past the entrance, it seems you'll be fine. I do nearly fight the Gerudo warrior into the hallway to get arrested though, but then again, after the carpenter is set free, she doesn't do anything about that either, so Maybe she's just lazy? Or maybe the game just assumes you've knocked her out and this rangeless story doesn't end up making a lot of sense. After the 4th warrior, I'm granted the Gerudo membership card by the Gerudo whose clothes match Link's, so I can head into the haunt. Navi, I know, I'm getting to it, please! Okay. The haunted wasteland, named for the singular ghost haunting it. I backwalk across the quicksand twice, because I accidentally backflipped too far the first time, and follow the road to the arms dealer. And then I drown, because I forgot to press B. Whoops. Doing that a 3rd time, this time actually jump slashing towards the guy. I buy bomb chews for the low price of all of my savings, literally all of it. But hey, I have access to bombs now, sort of. And the carpenters fixed the bridge, so Epona is technically no longer needed to get around. My next step is Kakariko Village, where I learned the Song of Storms for no reason, and I decide to see what happens if I try and enter Dampe's grave in reverse. This, of course, leads nowhere because... yeah, I kind of forgot I don't have the Song of Time. I'm a little stupid sometimes. Well, I guess I'll just use the front door. I performed some extreme grave robbing by taking it from the ghost myself, winning it in a race? I never understood how this is supposed to be a race when you're gonna close doors on me. But hey, we considered Mario Kart to be a race. Hookshot acquired. To prevent getting stuck while the door closes on me, because again, I don't have the Song of Time and this would be an issue, I run through the door and immediately back out again, which voids me out and sends me back to the front door of the grave. I used the hookshot on Dampe's old hut, now vacant and available for rent for 5,999 rupees a month, and launch myself into the air using a glitch setup to land on the wall. Then carefully walk my way across. I have to take this very slowly as a single misstep can cause me to slide down, ending the attempt of a glitch that really isn't that difficult to set up, but sure isn't my favorite. But thankfully I do get it in one go. I then align myself with the stairs so that a side hop will get me stuck in the ceiling a little bit and slides me right over the loading zone, preventing the Shadow Temple's door from loading in and allowing me to bypass it without magic and Din's fire. It's at this point I realized that I could get magic, which would at least get me the enhanced spin attack. But since I'm already in the Shadow Temple, I don't really want to back out now. I suppose I can do it without. In the Shadow Temple, I killed a second dead hand for the hover boots and use it as a fail-safe against falling down in case I pick the wrong angle for the statue to turn towards. Though I get lucky and I get it in one. Moving over to the spinning scythe room, grab the small key, then drop down to the unopened shortcut from here. By jumping a few times from the corner, slashing twice while holding shield, then once without holding shield and jump slashing, Link is put in the perfect position to clip through the fence, allowing me to skip most of the Shadow Temple. You know how cats are actually a liquid? Turns out Link is too. Who'd have thought? After riding the Stalfos boat, I hug the spiky wooden death wall, filling Link with splinters, and get the Redet to assist me by pulling me straight through like the liquid Link truly is. And I'm able to get the boss key without magic while the Redet watches. I reward his efforts by giving him the sweet embrace of death. Again, I guess. For the last trick of this first temple, since I don't have the bow, I instead get a bomb chew to ride over the wall to the other side of the chasm, exploding the bomb flowers on the other side anyway. Finally, after all of this time, I get to face off against my first boss, the incredibly, immensely, and intensely vulnerable Bongo Bongo. Seriously, this guy can be damaged by just about everything. As such, I end up taking him down using only the tier 1 hookshot and the Master Sword. First temple complete! Impa seems incredibly confused, saying Saria's ocarina was actually Zelda's, and ensuring me the princess is safe when I have no reason to believe she isn't. But according to her, we'll meet face to face soon and all will be revealed. That's cool, I guess? I leave the temple extremely confused, but one head-sized coin heavier, so profits are profits, I suppose. With that, the first dungeon of the run is finally complete, and we finally started filling out the medallions in reverse order. Before I seek out the Spirit Temple, there are a few more things I want to grab, which I could have grabbed before, but I didn't, and that's the end of that line of thought. First, using the bomb chews, I open up the Cow Grotto on Death Mountain Trail, which is an excellent way to quickly get more money as Adult Link. Then I go to Goron City and— Stop, oh my god, Navi, shut up, I'm getting to it! I stop Link to Goron and have him open the doors for me, and I get the best tunic in the game for my efforts as well. Since I'm here anyway, I decide to go into Death Mountain Crater to meet Sheik for the first time since meeting her at the Temple of Time, and she teaches me the Bolero of Fire, so I can warp here when it's time to actually go to the Fire Temple. Unfortunately, I'm legally not allowed to get closer to the Fire Temple right now, so this'll have to do. Back in the empty Goron City, I buy the Giant's Knife for the low price of all of my savings again, oh my god. So I once again have to refill at Cow Grotto, and then proceed to forget the entire reason I came here in the first place. It's kind of funny looking at the gameplay. You can pinpoint the exact point I remember what I forgot, because I legitimately stopped for about 10 seconds here. Since I have the Song of Storms and there's a hidden grotto nearby, I figure it's probably a good idea to fill my bottles with fair. Alright then. Before I enter the haunted wasteland, I decide to go grab the magic meter from our queen after all. I gotta be honest, I really wonder what the remake is going to do to you, after which I make my way through the Navi— Shut up! Wait. Hold on a second. I forgot to refill bomb chews. Oh my god. First I try to get by on just the 4 bomb chews since I really only need them for one thing in particular, but it doesn't end up working, so I back out for now. Learn the Requiem of Spirit and decide to go back to Young Link to grab Din's Fire for later, only to be faced with a fact I always forget. Sheik is still blocking the way to Young Link until I finish the Forest Temple. In this case, that means finishing every single Adult Link temple, making it a moot point that I got the Giant's Knife. The whole point of me buying that was to go back to Young Link at some point. It's at this point that I decide that there's nothing for it but to grind 1,000 rupees in 200 rupee intervals to cap out my bomb chews. I'll be needing a few of them, and this is my only way of getting them for the most part, so I might as well get this out of the way now. If I had a playtime counter, this would be taking up quite a bit of time, let me tell you. The second temple of the reverse dungeon run, the Spirit Temple. As I never did this as Young Link, I don't have the silver gauntlets and can't push the block. To solve this issue, I get infinite sword glitch off of the inscription that tells me I need the silver gauntlets to progress. Then use 10 of my bomb chews to go high enough to see the top of the inscription. And finally, side hop after changing boots to land on top of it. Then after initiating a roll in Kokiri boots, I roll off the side using the hover boots and maneuver my way to the corner, which allows me to grab hold of the top of the block, clipping me through the ceiling and letting me walk over the block instead, skipping it entirely. With that part done, I can use the tools I've acquired so far to make my way to the mirror shield using a bomb chew and the hover boots to deal with this room with the— whatever these are called, and the Bimo statue. Normally you can use the Song of Time for this, but I don't have it. When I do get the mirror shield though, I decide to try and hover to the other side. It doesn't work very well, and every time I fall down, I have to die just to retry. So I stop bothering. It's not like I need the silver gauntlets for just about anything at this point. After climbing a few more stairs, I make my way to the boss key chest, surrounded by fire and normally requiring the bow to collect. But by hookshotting towards it and pressing A on the first available frame, you can just open the chest while you're on fire. This works for other chests like this too, by the way. Lucky for me, the grate towards the boss door that you have to hook onto is much closer than it feels like it is, so you'd never actually need the long shot in either of the dungeons that come after you're forced to have cleared the water temple. The long shot always feels like such a significant upgrade, but in the end, it's practically just a water temple key. I save Naboru, a lady I've never met in my life, which is probably why Link is just kinda standing there, emotionlessly, watching all of this unfold. Seriously, he's more bothered by the fact that people move rather than the blatant murder happening in front of him. What the fuck? Twin Rova probably would have died here if not for the fact that the ice beam doesn't freeze you if it doesn't hit the ground. I feel absurdly lucky, but I need to stop getting hit by these witches. It quite literally happens every time, except for during that hitless run. As for Fuse Twin Rova, I buff her a Giant's Knife Jump Slash and stab her 3 times with the Master Sword. Victory is mine. Naboru acts like she knows me from 7 years ago. Clearly she's mistaking me for someone else, magic must have hit her in the head real bad, who knows. But hey, another head-sized coin for my collection, and the second dungeon completed. Rauru seems to be extremely confused and tells me I've saved all the sages. Rauru, I'm barely halfway if we count you, and you are not invited. But he tells me I should go meet with someone at the Temple of Time, and unless I want to walk the haunted wasteland in reverse, I basically have no choice but to go to the Temple of Time anyway, so might as well. Here we meet Sheik, who promises to reveal all. It turns out Sheik is actually Zelda. But wait, oh no! Zelda got kidnapped by that guy. I've never met this man in my life, who's this? Wait, is this what Ganondorf sounds like? The guy everyone's been hyping up? That could be a problem. But wait, if Sheik was Zelda, and Zelda's been kidnapped, then that means Din's fire here nope, she's still blocking the pedestal of time. Wait, hold on. That means we saved Zelda! Congratulations! I don't think I've made this joke since 2024. Next temple time, it's the Water Temple, but before that, I'm taking a trip to the Ice Cavern to pick up some more items. As previously explained, mini dungeons that have no medallions or stones attached to them, I'm not considering dungeons for the sake of the challenge, as they are all designed to be done way before they become mandatory, even though at least 2 of them have mandatory items in them. That is, if you need the Lens of Truth. So really, only the Ice Cavern is actually mandatory. Getting to the Ice Cavern is a bit of a problem though, as the Zora King has not needed to move for the last 7 years. Lucky for me then, that walls are an illusion and Link can simply jump slash into the back rooms and swim his way behind King Zora. Go in, grab the iron boots, and meet up with our kidnapped friend Sheik, or Zelda, and go outside with the blue fire to thaw out King Zora, after taking another detour because we need to tap into the innate power of teleportation to get back to the other side. Seriously, could he not have moved at any point in the last 7 years or something? Or is it that important that all of Hyrule's water passes under his balls? Wait, does that mean that technically speaking all of Lake Hylia is just a giant teapot considering he's teabagging all of it? Questions for later. For now, I just want my Zora tunic. The Water Temple. This temple normally requires the bow, and annoyingly skipping the bow normally requires Din's Fire. Neither of these are accessible, so I have to find a path that skips at least 1 key, but still lets me get the boss key, because I also don't have access to a boss key skip, since I don't have the bomb bag. But of course, I figure this is Ocarina of Time, so a solution must exist somewhere. I start the temple by meeting up with Fishwife Ruto, who leads the way until she immediately vanishes into a dead end. Very cool. I swim up to drain the water, then use the hover boots with a side hop to get to the middle section without needing to raise the water to the middle, and spend the bomb tube to get my first small key. Then I push the block to get to the Dragon Head room and grab a second key from there. With 2 keys, I jump into the hallway that leads to the boss key, which normally requires the long shot to progress through, but with the hover boots followed by a jump slash, I can get past this area without needing it. I spent the 2 small keys to get the boss key and go back to the temple start. Thankfully for me, since the top layer has 2 blue Tektites, I can actually use them alongside Navi to trigger Infinite Sword Glitch, which I can use in tandem with the hover boots to bomb hover my way across the longshot gap, skipping the longshot altogether and getting to the boss room. The boss itself is easily handled without the long shot as well and is quickly killed by pulling it into the corner, spinning it to death without so much as a phase 2. Bye Morpha, hello medallion number 3. Our fourth temple in this cursed order of temples is the Fire Temple, as the restraining order towards it has been lifted. I already cleared out all the preparation for this one, so this time around there's no dilly-dallying. Instead, we're going straight into the temple. And normally I don't really have anything to say about the Fire Temple and borderline skip it in my narration, but let this be the first time I actually have some things to say? Darunia, apparently at some point in the last 7 years, decided the kid who played a song for him that one time is actually his sworn brother, and tasks Link with saving all the Gorons. And I do open the doors, but I'm sure they can find the exit themselves. Nothing wrong with that, right? For anything that requires bombs, I of course end up using bomb juice, since I'm still a few dungeons away from unlocking the bomb bag, and you have no idea how much I miss the bomb bag by this point. There's an eye switch in this room, but it just leads to the dungeon map. I don't think I need the dungeon map, so no need to grab that. Then there's this guy, the only Goron I talk to, because he demonstrates air walking capabilities. How does he do it? Wait, can all Gorons walk on air? Is that a thing? And then he vanishes into the air like a ghost. Are Gorons even real? And then I crash face first from 3 floors up into the ground. Thankfully, gravity doesn't hurt as bad when you've been hit with point-blank range fireworks. Great advice for if you're in a crashing plane straight from Nintendo. Against the flare dancers, I normally like to throw a bomb at them. I've always done it that way, because it feels super consistent for me, as opposed to dragging them out of their fire using the hookshot. But hey, whatever works, seeing as, again, no bomb bag, and because no bomb bag, I also need to awkwardly aim my hookshot over the side of the wall to hit the crystal switches, which is just amazing. Finally, I grab the hammer and use it to smack the rusted switch under this Song of Time block. I don't have the Song of Time, but as long as you do a jumping attack, the hammer still reaches, so I don't really need it in the end. With that, I use the hammer to make short work of the second Flare Dancer and Volvagia, and that makes this a mission complete for the Fire Temple, 4th oversized coin acquired. After all that, we've reached the final, yet first temple, the Forest Temple, the 3F's temple if you will. Now, seeing as we're very well kitted out, and the Forest Temple is mostly fully self-sufficient, save for the Song of Time, you probably understand that it feels extremely weird to be here and still feel like I have things to say. But I somehow do. The Forest Temple has 2 problems in this run. One is that in a normal playthrough, you need the Song of Time to get through it. Now, there is a glitch you can use to clip through the Song of Time block that bars your way, but we don't even need to do that. Instead, we can use the hover boots to get into the garden in a different way and get the key from there. Or, well, I got a key at least, not the usual one. The second thing is that, remember when I told you to put a pin in the whole Zelda's letter and Goron bracelet thing, like, I don't know, half an hour ago? We finally reached the point where it actually matters. At the last Adult Link dungeon we do. For some odd reason, the blocks in the Forest Temple, and I think the Fire Temple and Water Temple, but in the Fire Temple there were ways around it, and in the Water Temple I didn't think about it yet, the blocks need you to have the Goron bracelet. Despite the fact it doesn't show up in Adult Link, and is grayed out in the gear screen, it still checks if you have this upgrade or not. If I didn't pick this up before I went to Adult Link, I would have been completely screwed. Man, am I glad I played it super safe and prepared more than I initially thought I'd need. From this point onward, the dungeon plays out pretty much exactly the same as it normally would, so to save myself the time, after grabbing the bow, I kinda just skipped to the boss. I could have played it out normally, but really, that's just wasting both of our times at this point. Phantom Ganon is a chump, but that doesn't stop me from getting hit, as this is now at hour 8 of continuous puzzle solving play that wasn't routed from the start, and I think I'm getting a bit tired. Or I'm just bad at this game I'm supposed to be good at. You decide, really. I break into the Temple of Time one more time in more ways than one. Rest in peace, Giant's Knife, I guess. And get taught the Prelude of Light, our last appearance by Sheik. I suppose we have to savor it before we go back to Young Link, which is now finally unlocked again. With all the Adult Link dungeons done in reverse order, it's now time to take care of the final dungeons of Young Link, starting with Jabu Jabu's Belly, As I've already obtained most of the items as young Link not tied to dungeons, getting into Jabu Jabu's belly is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Get the silver skill, 2. Get Ruto's letter, and 3. Kirby. There is exactly one problem to tackle on Jabu Jabu's belly, and it's quite literally in the entrance hall, also known as the mouth. To enter the throat, you have to hit the Adam's apple switch? What the fuck? Normally we'd use the slingshot for it, sometimes bombs to be slightly fancier, but today I have to time a bomb shoot to explode when it crawls close to it to trigger it. Which is definitely easier said than done. On my 5th attempt though, I managed to get it right, and from here on out the dungeon is extremely self-sufficient. With just a sword and boomerang, which you find inside the dungeon, and Ruto's butt, you effectively have everything you need to win after the entrance hall mouth. Playing this dungeon felt a little like a formality, but I played it out to the end and got my first spiritual stone. Collected 2 of the stones? What the heck are you talking? This is my first one. Navi, I'm getting to it! Nairo, end me! Next, the already opened up the Dongo's Cavern. This dungeon should pose absolutely no issue, since it being the second dungeon and all, aside from his sword, it really only requires you to have the slingshot from the Great Deku Tree. What I could do is travel forward in time one more time to do this as adult Link and use the bow to trigger the eye switches. But I figure clipping through the Door of Time is way too much of a hassle, and instead I use a trick where you can stand on the corners as the fire hitbox doesn't reach there, and jump past the fire across the platform this way. The second time this is needed, I use the indent in the wall to get to the second platform, then jump one more time to bypass the fires here as well. From here, it's smooth sailing as I grab the bomb bag and finish King Dodongo in 2 jump slashes. The game explains we collected all the stones, but we're still missing the last one actually, the Kokiri Emerald. So we make our way to the last dungeon on the list, the first dungeon. And I don't think I can realistically say anything about this. I backflipped over the spiky bar, I guess. Probably could have made this more interesting by playing it with Adult Link or something, but yeah. Queen Goma is down in a few stabs. It's just now dawning on me that I think Goma might actually have more health than King Dodongo does. That's actually kinda crazy to think about. And hey, at least we finally went to the Great Deku Tree. I hope you're happy, Navi. Okay. Well, that's every dungeon in Ocarina of Time completed in reverse order. I didn't actually know if this was possible when I set out to do this, but I figured it would be. After all, a lot of the items to complete the dungeons are in the overworld, and a lot of glitches, skips, and other exploits allow you entry into temples for this to be possible in the long run at all. Something I always enjoyed about Ocarina of Time is its freedom to use multiple items to get to the same goal, even if the developers intended otherwise. Like, sure, Bongo Bongo is clearly meant to be shot in the big glowy eye with the bow, but they still made the hookshot work just fine. And I really appreciate that kind of freedom. I guess in a way, I prefer this type of freedom over the type of freedom presented in the Wild era games because, well, it feels like you're breaking the rules, really. And breaking the rules in games is just fun. But for now, I think it's probably time for Link to go to bed. He hasn't slept for days, and, well, he finally fulfilled Navi's request to go see the Deku Tree. I think he's earned a little break. Alright, fine Navi, fine, we'll go kill Ganondorf. Skip the trials. What I like to do is walk around the edge of the wall and listen for when the footsteps turn into the carpet sounds again, then simply walk to the center of the trial beams to walk into the loading zones. Stab Ganondorf, nut on Ganon's tail, stab Ganon straight in the face, Zelda sends me back home. Now Link can go to sleep. Good night, Link. Don't oversleep.